Hello, inspired leadership, informed advocacy, and improved policy. This is Jennifer Higginbotham, your host for today. We will be discussing professional development of others. So, for your references and for the experts in this particular area, I use Danny Musquiz, How to Build Leadership Capacity. Indeed editorial team of 2022, How to Build Leadership Capacity with Tips for Leaders. And Leadership Today 2022, Developing Building Capability and Capacity. So let's get started for today. We have a lot of things to discuss, but the first thing that I want to discuss is what leadership capacity is. It is the ability to change the way in which you lead, to develop more effective ways to get results. To be a good leader, you need to have a solid understanding of both the work that you are doing and people as a whole, and to be able to adapt to any situation. It could be either abilities that we're born with or skills that we've learned along the way. As an effective leader, we can help motivate others to feel a sense of purpose in your work and opportunities for growth professionally. Everyone can develop and improve their leadership abilities through hard work and consistent effort. This can be done through learning about strategies for building your capacity as a leader, and that is important for personal and professional development. And this is referred to by Musquiz 2022. And the next few statements, I want to talk about how to build your leadership capacity. And again, this is coming from Musquiz 2022. You have to start by knowing yourself. You want to know your strengths are, but you also have to learn from your weaknesses. You have to know your weaknesses in order to how to adapt. You have to know when to adapt. Just taking the time to reflect and write down potential weak spots can go a long way. But it could also help to have honest conversations with people you trust. Ask them, when am I at my best in leading? When do I struggle? Once you've compiled a list of weak spots, choose 2 or 3 that you want to focus on. Then move on to the next after you accomplish those goals. That's how you work on. That's when you start to know yourself, and you also start to work on those weak areas or those areas of concern. Number 2, you have to analyze a situation. Listen to this scenario. You're thinking about one of those weak spots or area of concern. If you have trouble delegating for others, I do. That's one of the problems that I have. And what I like to say, one of the things I often say is, if I do it myself, I know it's done, and I know that it's done correctly. Well, think of a time where that may become a problem. What if you're working on 2 demanding projects at the same time? You don't have the capability to do both. Stop putting yourself on unnecessary pressure. Stop putting yourself under unnecessary pressure. Delegate others. Call in your experts, your team members that you collaborate with. If that's their strength, guess what? Call on them. Think of how you would normally respond in that situation. Think about how would you get from point A, from the beginning to the end? What would you do? Do you tend to think, feel, or act a certain way when you're confronted with weak spots? Do you freeze? Do you try to go to another area? Do you try to refer them to someone else? Or do you let somebody else take over that's collaborating with you? Maybe you start to feel the pressure to perform. Maybe you respond to that pressure by working through the weekend, taking on unnecessary extras. What negative results are caused by those thoughts, feelings, or actions? The next day, you might be super tired because you stayed up all night trying to work. You usually left stressed, tired, or disengaged from what you're trying to adhere to anyway. Stop over stressing yourself unnecessarily. Number 3, develop a plan. You visualize the intervention that you're trying to help instead. This is also a great time to look into an organized skill development plan. You might also consider taking classes online, or maybe a leadership building activity, or some professional development. Again, this is coming from MustQuiz 2022. Number 4, create accountability. Take the time to reflect. Make necessary changes and periodically check to see if those changes are working. Did you make the changes you wanted to? If you didn't, what obstacles got in your way? How can you overcome those obstacles in the future? Be kind to yourself. When it comes to leadership, there are 4 key components. Let's go back to be kind to yourself. Developing leadership capacity isn't something that happens overnight. No. It's not even going to happen in 2 nights. You have to continue to put in the work and stick with your plan that you have in place. Once you stick to those strategies and make those necessary corrections, the change will come. The capacity will come, but it's not going to happen overnight. So the next topic. When it comes to leadership, there are 4 key components that every great leader should possess. Leaders are self-aware. The sign of a great leader is to be self-aware. To believe that you have control over the events in our lives, to take ownership of our awareness. Be aware of what's the task at hand. Be aware of what you're expected to do. Be aware of the time. You have to be self-aware of what's going on. Number 2, leaders show a true appreciation for others. Good leaders genuinely care about the people around them. This is a little bit different from trying to get followers. A lot of people just listen and want people to follow them because they're popular or they have a good idea. But it really takes the people to care about you and genuinely build a relationship with you for them to become, before you consider a good leader. Not just the relationship building, but also enable them to do the task at hand or what they need to do. Good leaders inspire. And again, this is coming from Indeed 22. Indeed is that's the editorial team that were collaborating when they wrote the pamphlet for how to build leadership capacity, the tip for leaders. Leaders inspire followership. Followership asks the question, is this person capable of getting people to put resources and energy toward whatever goal that leader has appointed? Leaders are highly competent. Complementary to the skill of inspiring followership is competency in what they're asking people to do. Have they mastered something? Are they capable of mastering something, or are they in the process of mastering something that would allow them to effectively lead others, as well as training the next generation of leaders via mentoring? How can you lead if you've never done something? What have they accomplished? What have they shown to be a true leader in? What are those characteristics of a leader that they've shown throughout that process? That's the sign of a great leader, when you're able to follow because you've seen what they've done. Last but not least, I want to talk about the coaching and mentoring activity supporting implementation and explain how leadership capacity could be cultivated. First and foremost, hold purpose driven check-ins. You make the most of the time you do have. Instead of dealing with questions on the fly through a series of unscheduled, do you have time? Do you have a minute? Request schedule regularly meetings with your team members. Encourage them to save non-urgent requests for help. So, for instance, for example, with my team, we don't have any common times during the day, but we do meet every Monday after school, immediately after school, and we talk about different things that we've encountered, whether it be something that's changed in a program that we use, or an update on something. We make that time, and then we debrief. We talk about shared students and what has worked, what has not worked. We make sure we do that. You have to have those purpose-driven check-ins. That's when you're able to collaborate. That's when you're able to share. So you still need to be able for some questions and emergencies, but train team members to know which issues warrant an interruption and which should be saved for later. Like, you don't want to just start dilly-dallying and talking about what you did over the weekend. You want to have a purpose. You want to just not just be sitting in there chit-chatting, but actually have a purpose on what you're discussing. You find out those non-urgent questions and conversations more naturally get tucked into the save for later list. is by simple acting a schedule of meeting. Knowing a time slot has been earmarked makes it easier for the team member to hold off. Spend that meeting time wisely. Culture direct reports. That means go through data, prepare those questions of concern. You think about some solutions ahead of time. You should be spending this time advising at a substantial level rather than trying to figure out what the issue is in the first place. And this is coming from Leadership Today. This not only equips your team members to be more efficient with your time, but also trains them to arrive at solutions independently. That means you're coming with solutions to the problems that y'all already coming forth with. You know that what the problem is or what the task is, and you've already come with your ideas where y'all could talk about that to see whether or not it's, would that work into what you were trying to accomplish. Number 2, empower team members to solve their own problems. Coaching and mentoring employees in the workplace doesn't mean you should be constantly solving problems for your teammates. I think that the math lessons today teach the children to collaborate, peer collaborations where they sit and they talk about the particular problem, how they would solve it, and then they talk their way through it. Most of the time it's a multi-step problem, and they're able to do it because they're able to they're able to collaborate with each other, either coach each other. So you don't have to wait on the leader per se. You can work on it yourself. If you're feeling constantly peppered with basic requests, take a look at your management style. Your team should be self-reliant. Are you trying to micromanage each step, or are you giving your team members the tools and training the autonomy that they need to come up with their own solutions? Sometimes making like an online training where they could look at a PowerPoint or a video that demonstrates how to do something allows them to seek a range of resources and best practices and then work through a challenge on their own. You may be instrumental in identifying key resources for an individual's need, but having a comprehensive library expertise gives team members a first port of call when needs and questions arise. Ideally, your direct reports may be capable of working efficiently and independently without your constant input. As your team becomes accustomed to independence, they'll need less guidance from you, and you'll become better at their jobs. Following this approach, you free up to mentor your team on more high-level issues. Number 3, use coaching time to pinpoint areas of improvement. You should primarily use your time with direct reports to mentor them on higher order features. Work together to identify the areas and specific skills they should develop to advance their careers. Excuse me. Then point them toward training resources where they can get quality information. For example, are you coaching someone to take on more leadership responsibilities? Excuse me. Is he or she taking on online courses in interpersonal skills like team leadership? Do you have someone that's new that needs some more demonstrating done for them? Does your team need to broaden their skills to be multidimensional? The project leaders and project team members could benefit greatly from project management training. How to present it, how to show it, how do you show what you have done, also versus showing what you need to accomplish. Look for online e-learning platforms that can help your team build skills through self-paced, engaging in courses. And that way you can help you keep track of the progress that they're making, and so that you can see where they may need an extra push. So these are the things that we've discussed today to build your leadership capacity. Leaders have the capability of taking it to the next level, working together, looking at resources, using your time best, working together, to be able to delegate others, to be able to, and also allow people to use their expert and their strengths, as well as learn from their weaknesses. Use those strengths to teach the rest of the others. Not saying that they don't know, but maybe it's something that you found or something that you've learned from that you would like to share with the group that would benefit all. When we're increasing our leadership capacity, we're all learning. We're all trying to be successful. We're all trying to take it to the next level, and we learn from each other. I hope that this helps. You have a wonderful day. See you next time.